Welcome to Unleash Your Audacious Confidence on Win-Win Women TV. This show is all about sharing the tips, tools, and techniques that will allow you to step boldly in the direction of your dreams despite your feelings, fears, or past failures, to imagine what's possible for yourself and live the life you deserve. Well, hello, and welcome to this episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence. I'm your host, Alicia Khoury, and on today's show, we have a special guest, well, two special guests. So before we get to them, I just want to encourage you to follow us on social media. Go to alicia360.com, and when you go there, you can find me on all social channels. All the links are there. Plus, we got a free gift for you. If you want the 7 secrets to audacious confidence, make sure you hit that button that says free gift, and you can get that download of the 7 secrets to audacious confidence just for you. Plus you can, if you go there, there's also a pop-up that will show up for our Vision 2024 event. And that Vision 2024 event will help you clarify your goals, your mission, your vision, where you're going. It'll expand that vision for you. But the really neat thing about our vision workshop is it's going to connect your superpowers to your vision so that you know not just what your vision is, but how you're going to get there faster and with a lot more success, because you'll be able to unleash those superpowers. So go to vision2024.now.site and join. Welcome to Win-Win Women Network. This is a phenomenal network for women to share, to grow, to learn. So go to winwinwomen.com and check it out. Now, to our guests. We don't just have one guest for you today. We've got two spectacular guests. So come join us. We've got Dr. Bryan Robinson and Monica Parker joining us, and we're going to have a conversation on the topic. How's that working for you? So welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's fantastic to be here.
Hey, you know what? I am so excited for this show because I have no idea what's going to happen.
We don't either.
None of us do, but I got to buckle up because this is going to be such a phenomenal ride, just from what I've been looking at and reading about you guys, and it's spectacular. Now, Bryan, you've written over 40 books that are nonfiction, but then you also have fiction novels that you've written. So you're a prolific writer.
My tagline, I'm a psychotherapist and I write self-help books by day, and by night I write murder mysteries. So my tagline is, I heal by day and kill by night.
What better than a psychotherapist to write murder mysteries?
I love it.
It's priceless. It's beautiful. Yes, it's so valid because you can get into the mind of a psychopath. Just say. And then Monica, you're like this amazing actress, writer, performer who also has found a way to use humor to overcome those self-sabotaging thoughts and beliefs that we have about ourselves.
So true.
Yeah. But so how did the two of you guys get together to host a podcast?
Can we share that, or should we? We don't want to shock anybody.
Well, I'm going to go for it.
Well, I already saw the picture with the two of you in bed, so I don't think anything else they will shock.
So you already know. Okay.
Yeah, I already know.
We met several years ago while doing a resiliency conference. We both were speaking, and Bryan happened to sit next to me at dinner, and there it happened. That was the beginning. Chemistry. Literally chemistry. That
Wow.
wonderful thing, magical thing, where you know you when you know.
And
Have to say for yourself, Mr. Dr. Robinson.
and you can call me Bryan if you want. I'm
Okay.
fine with that.
I'm just being facetious, Dr.
Oh,
Robinson.
okay. I like that. We're like two peas in a pod, but at the same time we're different. That's what helps the chemistry, you know. I see the value in her difference, and I think she sees the value in mine. She's hilarious. She is so funny. She's had me rolling on the floor laughing. And I've always tended to be a little more serious. So I'm kind of more like a rock and she's the bird, but she helps me be a bird. And sometimes I help her be a rock. So, you know, it balances everything out. And our chemistry is great. I love this woman.
Nice.
And I love this man, but I think we need to clarify, seeing as you said you saw the picture of us in bed. No, we are not a couple, never have been a couple.
No.
That was just a little slice of humor.
I know.
It was a promotional thing. We both have husbands. We both have husbands.
Yes, we do.
And they allow us to do our thing. They're not.
Actually, they really like watching.
Nice.
In the right way.
In the all the right ways. Yes. Yes. So you mentioned resilience, and I saw a little piece, a clip. You talked about resilience with Alanis Morissette, Bryan, on one of your podcasts. So resilience, both of you come at it from a different point of view. So Monica, what is resilience to you, and how can someone, I know that's a deep, deep question, but how can someone recognize that they lack resilience?
How do you recognize you lack resilience? Well, I think part of the way you would know that is if you're having a bad day and it continues to be a bad day and it morphs into the next day and then the one after that. I think resilience is recognizing that everybody has bad days, has problems, has the things that life throw at us and that are unexpected or even expected. If someone in your family is, abandons you or dies or whatever happens. So I think resilience is finding that core inside yourself that lets you understand that you're good enough, you're always enough, and that sometimes you really just need the time to sink into a feeling. You can't always just shine it on. So, I'm one of those people who used to shine it on and wasn't that much in touch with my feelings, and because I didn't like having feelings. Now I really respect my feelings, and I've learned a lot from Bryan. I've learned a lot. Mostly I've learned a lot from my son, who is an adult, and understanding when he hurts and how his behavior. And then watching, teaching each other how to stand up and take it on. I mean, I think we're like bop bags, you get knocked down and then you bounce back up. And that's life. It has all the ups and downs.
Yeah, so resiliency is like, I'll let you see it, is that bounce back.
Yes.
And you bounce back.
That's right.
Bop down. Are you able
She could be the shrink. She could be the shrink. See how brilliant she is?
Yes. And then, so do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, do I?
Sure.
Oh my goodness. I think we're all born with resilience, but I think it gets eclipsed by life. And it erodes our confidence. It erodes our compassion. It erodes our belief in ourselves. Life is not personal. Life is full of obstacles. And if we want to live here, then it's not what's happening to us, it's what we do with it. And unfortunately, some people don't have that mindset. And if things continue to happen to them, they lose their resilience. I mean, it's still there, but it gets eclipsed by anger, fear, worry. We call these parts in psychotherapy. And those parts come in to protect us, but in protecting us, they cloud out and trap who we really are. They block who we really are. So I think we're all resilient, but along the way, like for example, if I'm bitten by a dog when I'm 4 and it's traumatizing, and Alicia, you bring in your sweet golden doodle to show me, and I freak out, I'm not freaking out about your golden doodle. I'm freaking out from my experience, which blocks me from being able to enjoy your golden doodle. Now, this is not about dogs. It's about how our internal system responds to in 2024. And it's dependent on all the things that have accumulatively happened to us on the way to this moment.
Yes. A lot of it is in the nurturing. So you always see people whose parents or who had a worrying mom, whose mother worried about every single thing, become also that person that worries about everything too, until they understand, if they ever do, that is actually a learned behavior and that they don't have to be that person, and they can learn.
It's a template. It's a template we don't even realize is being formed, and we bring that into the present moment and experience life in 2024 through the template that was developed as we were growing up.
I love that.
I also think sometimes one of the great secrets, which is very difficult for people, is to own their pain or own the mistake they've made that got them into trouble with somebody else or something. If you can own that, it takes a stench away immediately. As soon as you say, I have to acknowledge that I made a mistake, I have to acknowledge that I wasn't kind, whatever those things are, I think the minute you say that, you're on a path to healing. It just
We have a question from the audience. Oh, go ahead, Bryan.
I was going to say that's a great example of resilience, when I can admit my flaws, because we all have them. Everybody does. You can't be on this planet and not have it. And to pretend you don't, or to get defensive, it really works against you. So
many people don't understand or think they have the capacity to take responsibility for their actions. They want to justify, they want to prove that someone else was wrong, instead of really looking at, well, what was my role in this? How do I take responsibility? And I think at the moment that you're able to take responsibility for things, the whole perspective shifts. On everything. So we have a question from the audience, and they're asking, how do we resist the urge to repeat destructive habits?
Well, how do we resist the urge? Is there an urge? That's an interesting, I would call that, as a therapist, I call that a part. Because the example I gave of the dog is an example of how we tend to repeat, but we do that because we're reacting. If we step back and take a breath and learn to look at a situation from an objective point of view, we're going to act instead of react. The Buddha talked about the arrows of life. There are two arrows, and coming at us all the time. The first arrow, or the event, is not what causes my suffering. Think about that. Someone calls me a name. Is that causing my suffering? No. My reaction, the second arrow I throw at myself, causes my suffering and my misery. So it's about learning that you're the captain of your ship. You're not a passenger. I'm the captain of this ship that this body is carrying around, named Bryan Robinson. I used to be a passenger, but I've learned that I get to decide who I am and what I'm going to be. Someone else doesn't get to do that for me.
That is really profound.
I also think it comes back to the same thing of, if we own our crap, for lack of a better word, if we
the good and the bad,
and put it out there. I mean, I will say that, having spent a lifetime of having weight issues, I make a joke that I was born at 6.5 pounds, and 1 hour later I weighed 62 pounds. No idea what was in that milk. So I wrote a book about it. And I wrote a book, it's called Getting Wasted, spelled W-A-I-S-T-E-D. But it was really about, this entire book was about the journey of shame of being a chubby baby, a chubby child, a fat woman, and who did every awful diet to try and alter this thing that is actually me.
Mm.
And, as soon as I took it and owned it, I lost a lot of weight. And I'm never going to be thin. I don't need to be thin. I just needed to stop shaming myself. So,
Yeah.
that's part of that same thing.
Well, I wanted to throw one thing in here too that some people may not know, and it's neuroscience. We have something in our DNA called the negativity bias. Now,
Mhm.
what that means is in our DNA, we are hardwired to see the negative of a situation instead of the positive. Why? Survival. People that lay around back in the day and didn't care if the tribes were coming or the animals were attacking, they got wiped out. So it's in all of our DNA now to be afraid, to pay attention, and to look at the negative side of the situation. However, this is where you become the captain of your ship, is I can also look at the positive side. Every negative has a positive. And as you start to do that, you train your mind to look at the whole picture. Because when something bad happens to me, it's myopic. And if I'm looking through a myopic lens, and if I'm afraid in that moment, I'm not seeing the big picture. So let me give you an example. If I ask anybody here or anybody listening or watching to tell me your shortcomings, could you do that?
Heartbeat.
Yes or no? And a heartbeat. Okay.
I don't have any. I'm sorry.
So that's a whole different ballgame. But that's good.
Oh yeah,
that's
I got plenty. Yeah, I could.
What if I ask
but I
you to
choose
tell-
not to.
Well, what if I ask you, tell me what your tall comings are?
Well, first of all, I'm not tall, so
Well, people
got
say,
that right at the beginning.
what is a tall coming? I made that word up for a reason, because most people look blank, like, what are you even talking about? We don't even have a word for the opposite of shortcoming.
Shortcomings, yeah.
So, and I encourage people to make a list of your tall comings and make it equal to it's great to admit, as Monica's saying, what our shortcomings are, but that's not all of who we are. That's myopic.
That's
It's so much more.
But you can turn those shortcomings into gold. I mean,
yes.
I really
how,
believe
Monica? Shrink.
Yes. I tell people all the time that, I used to see my height because I am short, like I said, and people look at me on video, and when they meet me in person, they're like, they like they do a little, I didn't realize how short you were. So yes, if you're watching I fill up the screen purposely so I look big, but I'm really 5 feet, half an inch. And so I'm like, you know what? That's such a benefit. That's such an asset for me, because I can always find a seat on the bus. I fit into tiny spaces. So I'm like, so I've turned that into an asset when most of my life I looked at it as a liability. So yeah.
And that's it. That's exactly it. Turning those things that have haunted us into assets, because I really believe that, my entire career, my entire life is I have minted this gold of being not as I thought I had to be when I was younger, and it pained me. And now I don't care. And I haven't cared for a long time. I am absolutely as good as I could possibly be being me. And that's great.
And that's the goal, right?
I call it flipping. It's what we're really talking about. I don't know where I got the name from, but flipping shortcomings. Oh, what about tall comings? Flip.
It's a great word.
To-do list. What's your to-be list? What are you talking about? Being in the present moment, being mindful of what's happening. Most of us are either in the future or in the past. So everybody that I work with, I tell them, know your tall comings, have a to-be list, have green time to offset your screen time. There are lots of ways we take care of ourselves and build our confidence simply by flipping a word around and thinking, what would that mean?
Yeah, I love that. And hearkening back to what you mentioned before about everything is in a whole. And that's why I love the law of polarity, because a lot of people don't understand the law of polarity for that very reason, that if you're experiencing one thing in the moment, within that same moment is the exact opposite in existence.
Right.
Same
That's
moment.
right. And I've got a great example of that.
Yeah.
Water. Is water good or bad?
It just is.
It just is. It's
Mhm.
not either. Too much will kill us, not enough will kill us. So most things are not either or. Most things are gray. But our mind, because of the negativity bias and survival, wants to name it bad, good, safe, dangerous. And when most of the time, that's not the way things are.
Yeah.
And that is also just a little bit of self promotion here, but our podcast, How's That Working For You, is exactly about that. It either is working for you, and if it isn't, turn that into your goal.
Exactly.
Make that be the thing that you can emphasize. I mean, we could take any of our flaws and turn them into something positive if we just flip that switch.
Yeah.
We had one person on our show. He's very well known in Hollywood. I forgot his name. He's so well known, I forgot his name. What's his name, Andy?
Andy Fickman.
He got up in the middle of the podcast, went over and turned on the light switch and said, can I say a bad word on this show? I better not say it. But he said, life is effing amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Just by flipping the light switch. And that's like, hey guys, take a breath, look around you, think we're alive. Do you realize, I mean, when you have sperm racing, the foot race to the egg, we survived, we got to be created.
We won the jackpot.
We won it. And we got to live it. And that's what he was really saying. Electricity, we take everything for granted. So most of us.
I always look at a tree and think it's the greatest metaphor for life that there is.
Yeah.
In the wintertime, it dies. It looks like there's nothing there. And you think, oh, isn't that a sad looking thing? And then lo and behold comes little green things, little shoots. And you watch this thing. And that's us.
Yeah.
You know, we're part of this. We're all part of the same thing. And so I would rather have those leaves and the still moments serve a purpose.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, everything ebbs and flows. But like you were saying, when we talked about resilience earlier, if you stay in the valley, you're going to keep going deeper and deeper into the valley without recognizing that, wait a minute, we can come back up the hill.
Yeah.
And it's up to us. 90% of the time, it's up to us.
That's
not anyone or anything. I won't say 100% of the time, because there are some situations that are beyond our control, but most of the time it's up to us and how we're viewing it.
I'll always say it's not what life brings us, it's what we do with it. John F. Kennedy has a saying, and I always say, ask not what
the country can do,
not how life is treating you, ask how you're treating life. And if you really stop and think about it, it's exactly what you're saying. You have the power to deal with whatever that is.
And we have the power to turn someone else's day around just by smiling at them and saying hello.
And turn our own day around.
Yep.
That's why I smile a lot.
And
when people tell me I have wrinkles around my eyes, and I said, that's because I smile and I love them. Don't
smiling is the best facelift ever.
Yeah, so don't make me feel bad.
I have to tell you, there's neuroscience to this too. I read the science because I love to hear there's a back to everything we're saying. Mm-hmm. And what we know is when we smile, even if we don't feel like it, you act as if and you smile, it contributes to how you feel. It kind of triggers a part of your brain and you start to feel better. So it's not being fake. It's actually a tool that can help you feel uplifted just by putting on a smile, and it will contribute to how you feel. It
releases endorphins and all those wonderful things. I walk around like an idiot smiling at people all the time because I used to have so low confidence and be, I wouldn't say shy necessarily. It was more of a such a low belief in myself that when I walked into a room, I was intimidated. And that went to my childhood, growing up where I went, how I grew up. And I wanted to like disappear. Really. I just wanted to blend in and disappear. So I would walk into a room and just try to disappear. And so I didn't smile a lot. And then when I started actually shifting my mindset a lot, I thought, you know what? Because someone told me that I looked like a bitch. And I was like, what? He's like, but you're so cool and you're so fun and you're so funny. But when we first saw you and met you, you didn't look anything like that. And I was like, he's like, we thought you were all stuck up. You didn't want to talk to anybody. I'm like, that was my like my shell, like you were talking about. That was my shell,
your protection,
my protective layer. That wasn't who I am.
How often does that happen to people? All the
time.
I've had the same experience when I was younger, and I would go to party. I would make myself go to parties. But what I would do is I'd have this little voice in my head. Nobody wants to talk to you. You're not that interesting. You know, it was the inner critic. Yeah. And so I would I didn't know I was doing it, but I would pull back and I wouldn't talk to anybody. And then I would finally leave and say, see.
And be upset. See, nobody's talking to you.
Nobody wants to have anything to do with you. Now, when I'm in a social situation, I go up to people and they love it. So it was a myth that I believed, again, because of my childhood, that was instilled in me, which was not true.
It's not the truth.
So often everyone feels that way. So you get a room full of people, everyone feeling that way. And that's a
high school dance. That's what you call it.
There you go.
That is so perfect.
High school dance.
Best metaphor ever. Yeah. But it takes courage to actually walk into a room, walk into a room, and B, extend your hand or just smile. And I think about this sometimes. I think we're so self-critical, and if everybody else is self-critical, there's nobody able to sort of embrace the moment. So someone, and that would be you. I mean, you walk into a room with that smile of yours, Alicia, which is spectacular.
Oh, thank you.
You're warming up a room just by smiling.
And I hated my smile because I was tiny and I had big teeth, and I was like, oh. But I grew into my teeth eventually, so that was a good thing.
You grew into yourself too, didn't you?
Yes, I did, for sure.
You're an example of someone who did grow into yourself, and then we have people that we know who never get there because they're not able to overcome those obstacles that you were able to overcome. I was able to overcome incredible odds to be.
Want to, right? You gotta want to.
Oh yeah.
You got to have a vision, a dream, a desire, and then try to, like you said, be that person that can attain that. It's not it doesn't happen just passively.
No, in fact, it's not going to fall in our lap. You know, this whole idea of gratitude, and when we practice it, do you know it makes us 25% happier? That they've actually quantified that. When you practice gratitude regularly, like think of 3 things a day that you're really grateful for and just contemplate them for a few minutes. If you do that regularly, it raises your happiness level. It's amazing the simple little things that we can do to get through those. It doesn't get rid of the obstacles or the pain, but it can certainly add to our resilience, our confidence. Confidence.
Add a piece of chocolate and you're good to go.
And a piece of chocolate.
Yeah, that always helps. That's the icing on the cake.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I could talk to you guys for another hour, but our time is running short. What are give me a last quick nugget from each one of you, and let me shut down this show.
Okay, we have something here. Somebody just jumped on and
they just said chocolate heals everything.
Oh, okay. Well, my parting thing would be, are you the captain of your ship? Are you the conductor of your symphony? Or are you a musician? Are you the CEO of your boardroom, or are you one of the team members.
Janitors. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, janitors. And most
Not
of
that anything's wrong with being a janitor.
absolutely
It's just,
not.
you know.
Yes, and it's not about it's about taking charge of your life, even if it's scary. And because what most people find out if they become the captain of their ship, people will respond to them as if they are the captain, not as a passenger. It will change how people see you and respond to you.
Yes. And Monica?
I would say that if you got up in the morning, when you get up in the morning, if you choose that this is going to be a good day, even if you're feeling headachy, I don't know, hungover, whatever it is that is not feeling great, I think if you make a choice that I'm going to make this be a good day, you're starting with a sense of purpose that actually can only broaden out and bring that to you. Put it out there. Go say hi to somebody who, smile at someone, and you'll get a smile back. That elevates all of us. I mean, be kind. I mean,
and if you don't get a smile back from the first person, don't worry about it. Go to the
smile at
next.
another one.
But
remember to be
And
kind.
then eat a piece of chocolate.
And then eat a piece of chocolate and everything will be well.
Everything's great.
And share that
And
chocolate
share
bar.
it.
Mostly with me.
Mostly. If you want to know more about Bryan and Monica, check out the show notes. And I want to encourage all of you out there, after you listen to this, to go out and be bold, to be brave, and every day to do one thing to step out with audacious confidence and eat some chocolate. All right, this is Alicia Curry signing off for this episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence. I'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.